When analyzing a character in Star Trek, it's interesting to see different ways they impact the universe of Trek itself and the series they are in. Nog, like many we would see in the series, had several arcs that shaped Deep Space Nine, even into its last season. When we first meet Nog, he is a common criminal, little more than a bargaining chip used by Sisko to force Quark to stay and build up the economy of DS9. Even after this event, he is still not portrayed in the best light, though it's worth noting his indirect impact on a main character. This time we see how he affects Ben Sisko through Ben's son, Jake Sisko. Because of who Nog is, because of his species and the way he appears to act, we observe Sisko, if not being bigoted, definitely letting his ego get in the way. Ben Sisko has an initial disdain for Nog. Nog's race and his actions make the enlightened human balk and not want his son hanging around the wrong crowd. It would be Nog that taught the person of this species that is supposedly so much better than humanity today that just because someone is from a certain kind of people, a certain culture, doesn't mean that's who he is. Nog showed that he wanted to be better than what Ferengi society normally was known for. We see him growing even here, getting Jake to help him learn how to read and more. After witnessing the crew of the Odyssey giving their lives so that he and others would survive, Nog decided that he wanted to become a part of Starfleet. Ferenginar, not being a part of the Federation, meant that a command-level officer had to recommend Nog to be allowed into Starfleet Academy. Again, Sisko would be very skeptical. Nog had started out as a criminal and was a Ferengi. Why would he do something that wasn't profitable? What's the catch? Of course, history would repeat itself, Nog able to show Sisko not to judge a book by its cover. Nog wanted to be more than the sum of his parts. He may have come from the culture of the Ferengi, but he was his own man. He wanted to help people. He didn't want to be like what he thought his father was. As a side note, Nog's thoughts on his father would be ironic to me. This largely due to the fact that his father would become an engineer that ended up saving the Federation from the Dominion. Also, I do think, to some degree, Nog inspired his father to become an engineer, to not be someone who would never make something of themselves. Nog's impact on his family, on his friends, on the station, and even Starfleet can't be overemphasized. So a common criminal, a Ferengi that was a drain on everyone, even his own culture, which is saying something, by the way, this is the Ferengi we're talking about, would join Starfleet, a scientific and military organization, to protect people that would largely look down upon him because of what he looked like. On the topic of Starfleet, Nog served with distinction. So much so that he was trusted enough by the Admiralty that he was dispatched to Ferenginar to deliver the final agreement on an alliance between Starfleet and the Ferengi against the Dominion. Of course, it wouldn't stop there. Nog would continually distinguish himself in Starfleet, playing key roles in several vital battles and conflicts in the Dominion War. Perhaps one of his largest contributions would be at the siege of AR-558. During this battle, it was Nog that determined the strength of the Dominion troops and what they were up against. He did this at the cost of his leg. And because of this, with an understanding of what they were up against, Sisko would be able to more effectively construct a plan to ensure Starfleet won that conflict. Nog continued to serve with distinction until receiving his promotion to Lieutenant Junior grade. We don't ultimately get to see what happens to Nog, and yes, I know the documentary had their own ideas, but most future events that we see on screen, which is what is canon, shows him as being a captain. I, personally, would like to think that what we observe in Star Trek Online was his ultimate fate. He continued to work as a Starfleet officer, gaining rank and showing that someone's species doesn't define them. And ultimately, I do believe that was the point of Nog's arc. A common criminal would see the life that he was leading, that he was going to be destined for, and he decided that he didn't want that. He worked hard, continued to try to be better, went up against bigotry and stigma, and ultimately made a large stamp on the universe. And it's worth noting this character wasn't only brought to us by the writers, but Aron Eisenberg, without whom I don't think that Nog would have meant anything. But all of these are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below.